Hi everyone, my name is Kelly Dill. Like I put in the chat, I am the director of the College of Health and Human Performance Advising Center, and I also advise for the BS in Interior and Fashion Merchandising majors. So I'm going to give people a few more minutes to get on, and then we will get started very shortly. Thank you. Hi, Jesus. How are you doing? Good. I can do the presentation and then I'll just like throw it over to you with some questions and things like that, or have you elaborate if you want, or do you prefer to do the presentation?
I can do it. I just have only the presentation for interior design and interior merchandising. The one for
Okay.
fashion merchandising, I think that Dr. Shang is here.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
think
If
so.
not,
She was
yeah,
in
I
my
have
lab.
one too. Okay. I have one too, but I don't know if it's the same thing. But I have the fashion side. I have all three. So okay. All right, everyone. Well, it's 6:02, so we will go ahead and get started. Thank you and welcome to our virtual academic session for the BS in Interior Design and Fashion Merchandising. Um, we are a smaller department here at ECU, but we do a lot of creative things, really fun things. We're gonna go. My name is Kelly Dill. For those who joined a little bit later, I am the director of the College of Health and Human Performance Advising Center. But I also advise for interior design and fashion merchandising as well. Um, Also with us tonight, we have Professor Nieves, who teaches in our interior design and interiors merchandising concentration. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi to everyone. I'm Jesus Nieves. I'm the interior design program director. As well, I teach part of the interior merchandising classes and fashion merchandising. So I'm here if you need anything.
Thank you. All right, so we will go. I'll go ahead and get started. I'll probably be, bringing Professor Nieves in for questions and to elaborate, especially when it comes to like the interior design and interiors merchandising. If you will just give me a minute to share my screen. So essentially what we'll do tonight is we'll have a presentation, we'll go over everything, and then at the end, we'll give you guys a chance to ask questions. I have some admissions information. You can ask questions about the program, about ECU in general. We usually do have a student on here, but unfortunately, our student she's with the cheer team and they had practice tonight, unfortunately. So just give me a minute to share my screen. All right. Can everyone see that? Yes? Okay, perfect. All right. So what our degree here is at ECU, it's a Bachelor of Science in Interior Design and Fashion Merchandising. And within that degree, you have three different concentrations to choose from. We have the fashion merchandising concentration, the interiors merchandising concentration, and the interior design concentration. So I'm going to go through each one of those. Um, the first one I'm going to share is about our fashion merchandising concentration. So this covers most aspects of the fashion industry. You're going to learn how to work with designers, how to plan, develop, and execute a product line. You're going to learn about marketing to your target customer. You'll also learn how to work with designers on how to plan, develop, and execute a product line. You're going to have knowledge in the design process, distribution, marketing, visual merchandising, consumer behavior, quality analysis, buying and sourcing, and Google Analytics. So it really is the business and consumer side of the fashion industry. There is a materials class that you'll take that is hands-on. I do get this question a lot, but it is not we don't learn sewing and we don't learn making clothes. Now, do we have students who do make their own clothes and who we have a fashion club and they do a fashion show every month? Yes. But for the most part, we do not teach the sewing skills needed, like at FIT or Wood. This is really the consumer studies, the business side of the fashion industry. So we are, like I mentioned, a small department currently in the fashion merchandising program. We have 108 students who are enrolled in our program. The average class size is 25 to 35 students. So you really get to know your instructors and you really build those relationships. And we kind of help foster your growth in the program as you come along. We are affiliated with the Textile and Apparel Programs Accreditation Commission. And then we also partner with industry experts such as the National Retail Federation, which is a big one. So the National Retail Federation is where all of retail businesses and industries and apparel and interiors come together. And that's kind of like their overviewing body. So we have students who recently, a few weeks ago, went to New York. They had the National Retail Federation conference, and they got to do a lot of networking with different industry partners and um, companies, and they got to show off their resume and interview skills and just get to learn a lot more about the industry. So we had a few students that went and did that. Our curriculum is very dynamic and it adapts to current industry needs. We meet with our advisory panel, which is a group of alumni who are in the business, and they tell us what they're looking for graduates for their businesses. For example, we have a graduate who is a visual merchandiser at Gucci. And, one of the things she told us a few years ago is we need to see students who know more about online and e-tail and Google Analytics. So we've incorporated that into our curriculum as well. So it is ever changing the curriculum because we want you to be prepared and we want you to understand and know what to prepare you for a position in the industry. We also have hands-on experiential learning, which I'll talk about more in detail in a minute. And then you also have access to departmental and college-specific scholarships. So with ECU, I'll talk about scholarships for just a minute. We don't have a ton that are available to incoming freshmen, but then once you're in during your freshman year, you can apply for scholarships in our portal. You fill out one application and it'll apply you to all of the ECU specific scholarships that you're eligible for. So we do have some that are major specific that students can apply for. Program requirements. So our degree, or any degree actually at ECU, minimum has to be 120 credit hours is required for graduation. Within those 120 credit hours, 40 of those are general education courses. So again, this is something, gen eds are something that all students have to take. That's that English. You have 2 Englishes, 7 hours of science, a math class, social sciences, humanities, fine arts, health and exercise. Now, we're pretty flexible about what we'll take with our gen eds. With our social sciences, we are specific. You have to have at least Psych 1000 and microeconomics. So those are 2 specific gen ed classes that we require. You take 52 hours in the major, and I'll show you a sample of our courses in a little bit, but 18 hours of major core courses, and then 30 hours in your concentration. So the major core courses are something that all of our students, all three concentrations take, and then the 30 hours of the core is specific to your concentration. For fashion merchandising, we do require a minor, any minor that is offered at ECU, but some of the more common ones that our students do are the business or, I always tell students, tailor your minor or do your minor tailor to what you want to do career-wise. So if you want to work in fashion journalism or photojournalism, do communication as a minor. If you want to go into visual merchandising, then art is a really good minor. If you perhaps want to own your own business, you can do the business minor or the entrepreneurship certificate. There's also a professional selling certificate. I have a student, she wants to have a wedding dress business, but she's doing her hospitality management minor because she wants to be able to partner with hotels and locations for weddings. So again, it's open. I have students who have done the composite natural science minor, psychology minor. So whatever you're interested in and how you think it can help you career-wise is what we usually recommend for the minor. I'm also going to do a plug here for the MBA program. So if your MBA is something that you want to get after you graduate with your fashion degree or your interiors merchandising degree, then let me know, ahead of time pretty early, because what we can do is do a business minor. And if you take, there's a couple of extra courses you have to take, but if we get all those courses and you get, I think it's a B- or higher, then that tests you out of or gets you credit for essentially like your first year in the MBA program. And you could essentially finish your MBA and your 4-year degree in 5 years instead of the typical 6 to 7. So common career paths after graduation. Again, this prepares students for a multitude of careers. And again, you really tailor it to what you want to learn. Some of the careers that we've seen our students get recently, a retail buyer, a stylist, fashion apparel, fashion management, a merchandising manager, a storeroom manager, brand manager, an owner, a planner. Trend forecasting is really big. We do trend forecasting in our study abroad, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go into interiors merchandising and then interior design. And then at the end, we'll talk about all of the experiential learning that's open to all three concentrations. So the interior merchandising concentration really focuses on the planning, design, and presentation of interior spaces. So students are going to learn to create visually appealing and functional layouts, various aspects of interior design, but also visual merchandising, consumer behavior, and retail management. I always get asked, what's the difference between interior design and interiors merchandising? And so I kind of like to explain it HGTV style. But Professor Nieves, please jump in if you would like. But if you watch, Fixer Upper, for example, and you have Chip and Joanna, Joanna comes in at the beginning and, she's like, okay, we're going to need to move this kitchen here or this back here. And, we got to work out the plumbing and the electrical, or, oh, we can't do that because of the sewer system. That is more so the interior design, learning those the software to really be able to design. So CAD, SketchUp, Revit. And then when Joanna comes at the end and she is, staging the home and she has her own home decor line, that is more so interiors merchandising. How did I do, Professor
Good.
Nieves?
Great, great.
Okay.
Really, the most important difference between the two of them is that interiors merchandising is interdisciplinary, so it combines part of interior design with fashion. You're going to understand how stores work, how retail design works, how you are going to translate fashion trends into designs for layouts, and you are going to understand how people shop, and you're going to actually design the path on how they shop and the experience of that consumer. In terms of interior design, we are more focused, as it says, on the design part, uh, residential design, architectural design, all the elements of demolishing, creating all the color palette, all the topics. And I'm going to show after we finish here some of the students' work, so you can see what we're talking about at the difference of interiors merchandising work and interiors design.
And all these pictures throughout the presentation are our students. So for example, that the bottom picture here is a classroom that some of our industry professionals got invited to and got to see some of the students work. Up here, this is from the fashion merchandising side. Mr. Chris Knott is one of our alum, and he owns Johnny O in Raleigh. So some of our students went to their headquarters, or he doesn't own, sorry, he's the chief merchandising officer for Johnny O. So we went to the headquarters there, and he showed us like different fabrics and swatches and things like that. So all three concentrations are really hands-on. Program requirements for interiors merchandising, again, very similar to the fashion merchandising. We do require a minor with this degree as well. Some of the more popular minors with the interiors merchandising is a lot of our students like there's an architectural design minor. There's also a construction management minor, and they really like that. Or you could do the business entrepreneurship certificate, those types of things. Different careers that students have with the interiors merchandising concentration that we see. Our students go on to become an interior decorator, home staging specialist. We do have a student who designs, or an alum from the past who designs their own furniture and has their own furniture line, design journalist, sustainable design consultant, even event and exhibition designers as well. So I mentioned that there are 2 internships that are required with both the fashion merchandising and interiors merchandising program. The concentration, these are internships for credit, and it's used to just help you gain skills in the industry to help you network. Internships can be in the US or international. It doesn't matter to us as long as you're getting what you need. So we again, 2 levels of internship. The first is what we call your junior level, but we do have students who take it prior to their junior year if they're go-getters and want. That is what we call the retail level internship. So that first internship, most of my students just have like part-time job as a sales associate or a retail associate for a department store. So for the fashion side, like a boutique or a Target or a Kohl's or a Belk, or even that's for the interior merchandising side as well, a Kohl's or a Pier 1, Crate and Barrel, something like that. The second internship that you do, you don't have to have a managerial position, but for the purposes of the internship, we want you to be able to complete a project on your own under a supervisor or take on some management level type tasks for that internship to really help prepare you. Each internship is 200 hours, and it can be completed in the summer, spring, or fall. The IDFM 3000 is a 2 credit hour class, and the senior course is a 3 credit hour class, just based on the work you have to do. So your senior level one, you have to do a video and a few extra things. And then I'll send these out later. These are some of our internship experiences, videos that some of our students have made. And then interior design is really, again, like I said, it prepares students to integrate aesthetics and technology into interiors and spaces. So all graduates from the interior design program will be able to take the shell of a building, and by the time they graduate it, completely furnish it. And when I say furnish it, I mean lighting, plumbing, electrical, flooring, kitchen and bath, all of that stuff, because this program is set up for you to sit for your NCIDQ exam, which helps you become a licensed interior designer. And that exam covers competencies in building systems, codes, construction standards, design applications. So this program is competitive. The interiors merchandising and the fashion merchandising are not competitive. You can declare as soon as you come in, you just have to maintain a 2.0 to be in good standing, and then have a 2.5 to be able to take 4,000 level classes. So if you're interested in interior design, what we do is we start all students on the interiors merchandising concentration because during your freshman year, there is no difference between the interiors merchandising plan and the interior design plan. All students take those classes together. Then at the end of your freshman year, if you have a B or higher in all of your interior design classes in a 2.5, you'll be 2.5 GPA, you'll be able to submit a portfolio for admission into the interior design concentration. And so that concentration for interior design due to lab spaces and different things, and also wanting to foster those students and really work one-on-one with them, we have only 22 to 24 spots available each year. So again, during that freshman year, you're on the interior merchandising concentration, but you're building your portfolio in your interior design courses. So you start out in studio classes very first semester. Um, and then at the end of your freshman year, you submit your portfolio if you want to, if you wish to do so. And if you get accepted and you accept your spot, then if you're one of the 22, then we move you to the interior design concentration. If you're not accepted, then you can just stay on in the interiors merchandising concentration if you want, and that still keeps you right on track to graduate in 4 years. I do have students who are like, no, and they'll switch to maybe like architectural design or construction management. It is totally up to you. So, interior design courses, you're going to learn interior design for residential, commercial, and adaptive reuse. And these are just a sampling of some of our classes. And you'll see, Professor Nieves will show you some of the upper level classes and what they're working on now. I know they design condo, they design a hotel. During your freshman year, you're going to be able to take one thing that we do, and this is Mr. Gastina, in your freshman year, is you'll take a tobacco warehouse farm and you get to adaptive reuse is a big one, sustainable development is a big theme of our program. So you'll repurpose that to a client's needs for a room or a project. And then Professor Nieves, do you have anything else to say? Well, I'll go over the internship. So interior design, you do have to do one internship, not two. So on the interior design concentration, it is an internship we prefer with a licensed interior designer. And these are some of the examples where our interior design students have done. Before we go on to experiential learning, Professor Nieves, do you want to share some of your interior design students, or should I finish up and then have you share?
If you want, I can share now, if you allow me to share the screen, and I can talk a
Yes.
little bit about the difference. The difference and why the interior design program is so competitive is that it requires a level of expertise in terms of technical design and a lot of considerations because you're going to meet certain standards as CIDA and NCIDQ that are regulations that you actually need to meet to being able to be an interior designer. And this is a very competitive industry. So we need to prepare you for the best. In terms of that, you get exposed in between the second year to the fourth year to 8 different studios where you're going to learn about residential design, commercial design. You're going to do competition studio. Competition studio is about actually competing in a national or international um, design competition. And I'm going to show you this past semester we had one of the, I think it's the second place of the bear painting international student competition. So we are going to show you how to use AutoCAD, SketchUp, how to make videos. So you can, everything that is in your mind is going to be on a video. You're going to be able to show your clients how the space is going to look. So because of all of these things that we need to juggle around, we decide to do a process in which you actually present a portfolio But as well, I just wanted to let you know that if you, at some point, because I know that you guys are in high school, you are in an art school, or you have taken art classes, and you have taken and you have a little bit of experience with art, drafting, any type of creative experience, and you want to show us what you have right now, we can maybe see that and see if you we can allow for you to start taking the classes and joining in directly into the interior design program. Because one of the main things why we do the first year is because most of the students, they don't have experience in understanding composition, art, aesthetics. So I'm going to share my to show. I think that you guys see my screen. I hope that you do. I'm going to show you some of the projects. This actually was a project from a student in the 4,000 level. They actually did the adaptive reviews of an historical building, and this is for the bear competition. They had to use the color rumors, this color over here, to actually enhance the overall experience. And she chose to do a cafe and all the experience. Like, she created the name of the cafe, she did all the research, she went in and created all the floor plans. All of these images are created by them. She shows every single detail of the project, and they presented out the project, all the analysis, all the diagrams. I'm going to show you over here. Mm, I think it's over here. One of the students' projects. Let me see. I don't know if it's. I think it's the Zoom that is causing this, but I hope that now it's fixed. I think that is a little bit glitchy, and I'm sorry about that. I think that that is because uh, the the Zoom connection. But here is another one. This is was actually focused on a specific client. They went in and they created the style for the client. They understood the needs of this client, and they went over using creative and unconventional sustainable materials, and they created the overall concept for the client. They remodeled this entire condo. They used all new materials, and this is the final floor plan. And these are the visuals that they created. All of this is computer made the same way as the video. In terms of work for specifically interior merchandising, this is a work that was done prior in a class of research and seminar for interior merchandising and interior design. And the students took a specific, they created a group, they created an office, and they put together the mission statement of this office. They put together the vision as well of the company, and they presented themselves. They created specifically all the positions on the office, so they had the experience of understanding how she was the owner and the lead designer. He is the senior designer. Um, she is a junior designer, another junior designer, and together they talk about a fashion brand that is Moschino, that is an international fashion brand, and they put together all the research for this brand. They understood the areas of opportunity, they understood things that they needed to do in order to create and enhance this brand. They went over to understand the overall history of this fashion brand and how the stores work as well. They understood the consumer, they understood which type of client Moschino as an Italian brand went for. They as well made a before and after to see how the brand grow in terms of style and in terms of how they are carrying themselves now to a more younger audience. They study the price points, they study in terms of men and women's, and they as well understood if the company was doing good or bad and how they can enhance that. As you see, the interiors merchandising is a little bit more different because it requires a little bit more of research, of understanding the market, understanding numbers, understanding the specific psychology of the consumer, the client, and as well understanding how to mix what a designer, an artist, anyone has, and bringing that into an actual place. They went over and analyzed the past advertisements, the campaigns, and as well they understood how they have designed on the past their stores or pop-up shops. They wanted to create a new store. The project was to create a new store or a new pop-up store. They are basing this store in Milan because they think that if they are going to bring a new experience and this is an Italian brand, they want to actually test it out in the actual clients in Italy. And this is the final, like the precedent study that they are going to work with. They went specifically in the Milan store to see the changes that they needed to do in that specific flagship store in Milan. They as well went over to a store that they really like as a precedent, and how they are going to incorporate some strategies of design. They went in and analyzed the floor plan, analyzed which things, because specifically this store carries products for a more younger audience. And as you saw, the products from Moschino have moved a little bit more into a younger audience. So they wanted to bring in this precedent to use it as a part of the research and bring in a little bit more of a younger flair to this store. They created a concept board using different elements and images that are more abstract, and they are going to use that as the base for design. They did a selection of the furniture that they were going to use in the store, and as well some materials that they were going to use in the store. And they created a circular store. They wanted to be very similar to a column to incorporate the story of Italy. And this is actually the final 3D for the store. Here, all of these elements that they created, they analyzed the pathways, how the client was going to experience that. As well, the clients sometimes they go with their couples and they wanted to see what they are trying out, specifically the clothing, etc. So I don't want to show more, but I think that what I have shown is, I hope that it brings a little bit of questions and curiosities. Um and it shows you the difference between a project from someone in visual merchandising and interiors merchandising versus someone of interior design and interior architecture, and the level of the floor plans, the level of analysis in one versus the other. The one is more focused on construction, one is more focused on specifically creating and renovating spaces and creating bigger spaces, and the other one is using the strategies of a brand, of a design, of a fashion trend, and translating that into an actual project. I
Thank
think that,
you.
yes.
I'm gonna share a little bit of that was really helpful, Professor Nieves, and thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna go over our student experience, and then I'm actually gonna bring in Kaylee because I see her on the call, who's one of our current students, to introduce herself and just talk about the program from a student's perspective as well, because I think that's important as well for you guys to know. So just give me 1 minute to, oh, here we go. So some of the student experiences that we have, um, we have experiential learning in industry tools. So again, like Professor Jesus talked about, students learn how to use various tools and technology required in the industry. And that goes for all three concentrations. I know interior design is very concentrated in technology, but you'll learn that in other concentrations as well. Industry materials, we are integrate industry um, workspaces and studies and data and research, and we try to create real world activities, as Professor Nieves showed you, to help when you are graduated. Our students work with local industry professionals. We also have some industry guest speakers, and again, I've mentioned some of the trips that we go on as well. So that picture, Dan Lee is actually one of our fashion merchandising alums. He's a stylist in New York now, and he does a lot of sports and or athletes and celebrities as far as styling goes. And he actually styled Megan Rapinoe's Sports Person of the Year Sports Illustrated cover. So that was all him, and that was all his styling, which is kind of cool. That's an alum of ECU. And then the bottom picture is the middle is Corey. She's one of our interior design alums. They actually went to Las Vegas to the National Kitchen Bath Association, NKBA. It's one of our industry contacts, connections, and she got to meet the property brothers there. She got to see upcoming trends in interiors, and so that was a really cool opportunity that we have for our students as well. We also do study abroad, and I'll kind of explain study abroad at ECU, we do have your traditional semester long study abroads, but within the college, we have what you call summer study abroad. So if you don't want to commit to a whole semester, the summer study abroads are really nice. They're typically about 2 to 3 weeks. You do get credit for 6 credit hours, so 2 classes while you're over there. Some of these pictures, I think this is from the Morocco Italy trip. This year they're going to Prague and Milan, and they're going to be learning about trend forecasting, international trend forecasting, um, and international merchandising while they're over there, 2 special topics courses. So again, you get to go with the summer study abroad. You actually get to go with an instructor and a group of students, and it's open to all 3 concentrations, and it's actually open to all majors. So if study abroad is something you're interested in, I highly recommend summer study abroad. If you're an out-of-state student, you pay in-state tuition on summer study abroad, so that could be a way to save a little bit of money if you need summer courses as well. Again, I mentioned our advisory board, which consists of leaders from textile apparel, interior design, and home furnished industry sectors. They provide insights for our students. They'll come and guest speak with our students. They actually, the last time they were here, did mock interviews with our students and really gave them some positive and constructive feedback on their interviewing skills. And that is all I have. I am going to let Kaylee introduce herself. And then if you guys want to ask questions in the chat, I'm happy to answer them. I'm not going to be very quick with typing. I have in a little bit of a cast right now, but I will definitely answer your questions through here. So, Kaylee, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Okay, now I think I'm unmuted. Okay, my name is Kaylee Davenport. I'm a junior in the interior design program here at ECU. Is there anywhere specific you wanted me to start, Miss Dill?
No, just why don't you tell a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what maybe why you chose interior design as a major, and what that process has been like for you.
So I was actually born and raised here in Greenville, went to high school in Greenville. I went to John Paul II Catholic High School. My mom's an ECU alumni, so growing up I was always a pirate. Um, and I guess the reason I decided to go to ECU is because Greenville's always been my home, and I knew that they were one of the top interior design programs in the state. And so I don't know, somewhere in high school, I just decided that I wanted to do interior design. I took a class my freshman year, and I got a 100 on the state exam. So I was like, hey, maybe I'm good at this. But I was also a super artsy kid. I took every art class possible in high school. My advisor was like, hey, you can't take any more art classes. You have to graduate. So I think if you're one of those people who are, kind of into art, but also like to have a creative outlet and you have good critical thinking and problem solving skills. I think this is a good major for you. If you're highly competitive, this major is for you. Um, I also think if you're a people person, this is definitely a major for you.
Thank you.
Would you like me to talk about the application process?
Yeah, you can if you would like. I kind of mentioned it a little bit before. If you've done your internship, maybe talk about your internship. If you haven't yet, that's fine. And again, feel free, everyone else, to drop your questions in the chat and we'll kind of go from there. Even if it's not about the program, you can ask, like, Kaylee, what's your favorite place to eat on campus?
Yeah, I'm down to answer anything. If you have any questions about Greenville too, I can probably answer that as well. Um,
I think Kaylee as well, like I know that you have been working in different projects, so maybe you can share a little bit of the experience on working on the studio classes and what type of projects you have done that have excited you in the past.
yes. So the most recent project that I have completed was a residential project where we were given I'm blanking right now, but we were basically given these visionaries, and mine was Sorry, y'all, I'm really tired. Mine was Alfred Hitchcock. And so we had a four-story penthouse in New York City. And so we really had to get inside the heads of our visionaries to meet their needs. And so from there, we came up with a concept. And this is the first project where we were kind of given creative freedom and like we were kind of let off of our leashes to go and follow our design instinct. And so, we came up with a concept after we did research about our client. And then from there, we, got into space planning. And then you have your furniture and floor plans and you start rendering and a lot, a lot of rendering. Last semester, we kind of learned more about the process because it was a semester long project. And so after we rendered a little bit, we would go back and make actual furniture selections. And we learned how to do that. And we learned how to make spreadsheets and budgeting and stuff like that and how to source furniture, which was new to me and I loved it. And so then we went back into, there was a lot of fine tuning throughout the whole semester because you'll create something and you think you love it. And then you research it a little bit more, or you see a space that you like and you go back and look at it again like a week later and you go back and refine it. And really, it's just a process. It's a really long process, but I had a lot of fun with it. I kind of got to explore a style that I really wasn't used to because Alfred Hitchcock was such a, creepy, dark person. I had fun incorporating little Easter eggs here and there from his movies, like the birds, and, like shards of glass throughout the house. And I don't know if you guys have ever watched, Psycho or the show or anything like that, but I made sure to emphasize the shadows and I played off of those, like with the shower scene, like where he has the knife. So I would say that was probably my favorite project that I've done so far in the program just because I watched myself develop a lot that semester. And now I've started a project in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, and it is the Vaquero building. And so we are creating a boutique hotel right now. And right now we're working on concepts and we're about to move into space planning. So that is what we are doing right now.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I know that was a lot. I'm trying to read the questions at the same time.
I know that the process, that's why we mentioned that it's a very competitive um, program because it requires a lot of you. Like when you're creating something and when you're thinking and everything is in your head, and to bring that to reality, it requires a lot from each student. So it's definitely a program that is for people that are passionate about this and that are very competitive, I think.
Yes, I remember when I had my first studio with Mr. Gustina, that's kind of where students start out and then they get sent to Mr. Nieves when it's time to get serious once you get in the program. And so with Mr. Gustina, I remember on the first day of class, he was like, I hope nobody's sensitive because you all are friends now, but you're competing with each other. And I just remember us starting out with over 100 girls and, we ended up with, I think it was 26 in the program. And so over the semester, you'll watch people drop, they'll realize it's not for them, or you'll watch people lose interest, stuff like that. So it was just
Yeah,
really interesting to see who wrote it out to the end.
somebody said, how many applications do you typically receive for interior design? I think last year we had 48 who submitted, around 48 students who submitted their portfolio. Um, and there were 24 spots out of the 48. This year there are more students in the second semester interior design classes than last year, but we also have updated our eligibility requirements you now have, it used to be you just had to have a 2.5 GPA, but now you have to have a 2.5 GPA and a B or higher in your interior design courses instead of a C or higher that first year. So I'm interested to see how that affects students, but so far there's been very few students who have gotten the low B, so it is competitive.
as well as I mentioned, like if you're really interested in the program and you show passion, part of the new process of selection is going to incorporate as well an interview. Before it was just showing the portfolio, but as well, I think that is extremely important for us as faculty and for the program to really speak with you and to understand your motivations. Because, as I always say, maybe in the first year you can show some talent, but 10% is talent and 90% is discipline, 90% is you really wanted it. Because if you really want it, you really are going to work for that and you are going to excel in the program.
Are there any other questions or any like questions for Kaylee just in general about ECU? I know we do have some our admitted student day is coming March 29th. So if you like what you hear and you would like to come to Greenville for that weekend, and we'll have the labs open so you can tour our labs, you can tour our materials room and kind of see like the workspace that our students have. And hopefully we'll have other work displayed as well by students during that time. This might be a question for Professor Nieves or Kaylee. It says, once an interior design space is created digitally, what would happen to the design if it was for a client? Do people who know how to do construction architect put the ideas to life?
Well, in terms of the process, of course, as designers, our work is not just thinking about the idea and going with the client through the process of feedback, budget, and different things, but as well, we stay into the process until the end and we work with contractors, we work with people in the industry, artists, different suppliers, furniture stores to make everything to life. That is why the process of creation is very important because it requires a lot of decisions. Once you have all of those floor plans and you have all of those visuals digitally, the client has an idea of what the space is going to look like, but as well, it's a good guide for the contractors, for the builders, for everyone to understand how they are going to build this project. So yes, it's a process, and most of the time you're going to be collaborating, you're going to be staging the project, you're going to be finding accessories and working with the client until the last pillow is put in your project.
Thank you.
I don't know if
Right,
I
so
answered correctly. I answered correctly, Joanna. I don't know if the second part was a little bit confusing for you. Like in terms of construction, just to let you know, we have a master's in construction management that I can encourage you to do after you finish your interior design. If in case you want to learn a little bit more about construction, our program is focused on interior design and interior architecture. So you're going to learn how to do construction documents in the process. But in terms of building it out, you have to rely on people that have that experience uh, of as contractors to build your project out.
thank you. Do we have any other questions? I'm going to be emailing some resources and information tomorrow, especially more about our program. And then if you have any other questions that you think of, definitely follow up with me via that email, and we can kind of go from there. So, um, Professor Nieves, Haley, and I will hang out for a few minutes. Oh, yes, thank you. Professor Nieves just dropped his email address in the chat, which is very helpful. He's a very good source of information. So, and Kaylee did as well. I'll drop mine in there in a second. Although you will be getting an email from me just so. Thank you so much for attending with us tonight, and we are looking forward to seeing you. at hopefully Pirates Aboard or at ECU in the fall. So thank you so much for attending.